Hi guys, it's Danielle here and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, thank you so much for joining me. So before we get started, because you can tell what I'm going to be talking about on the title, obviously, I just wanted to thank you so much for all the support and words of encouragement that were sent to me after my previous video that I posted, which was a huge step for me. But I feel like it was also a huge step in my self-healing. And I had a lot of ladies reach out to me with, like, I don't know, what do you call that? Like words of validation and sharing their experiences and stories with me as well, which obviously I will keep private, but that was just like, that was that feeling that I was hoping to share, is a sense of knowing that you are normal and that you're not alone and there are people out there that you can connect with. So anyways, on to the next subject. One of the things that I started experiencing, I would say like a month or two, maybe three, I don't know, a couple months after that traumatic incident that I mentioned in my last video, is that I started experiencing sleep paralysis. At the beginning, I had no idea what was going on. I just knew that it was absolutely terrifying, and I guess I thought it was just like a night terror. So the definition on Google, when you Google sleep paralysis, is a temporary inability to move or speak that occurs when you are waking up or falling asleep. It's not harmful and should pass in a few seconds or minutes, but it can be very frightening. So I actually posted on Instagram, have you experienced sleep paralysis? Do you know what it is? And once I checked my Instagram poll, it was up for 20 hours and 57% of you experienced sleep paralysis. And I had a few people reach out to me and kind of share with me what their experience looked like, whether they had it once or they've continually been having it. But honestly, if you've had it once, it's going to stick with you forever, and if you continually have it, it is frightening. So sleep paralysis, it actually like intrigues me. I have read all about it online. I watched that Netflix show, I can't remember what it was called, but it talks about it as well. And there is nothing to explain what sleep paralysis is caused by, except that in each study it all linked back to people who have either had a traumatic experience, they're under a lot of stress, extreme stress, or it's also kind of linked to like anxiety and things like that. So that seems to be the only connection with it. The other thing that intrigues me is that everyone sees the same hallucination. So the first time that I experienced sleep paralysis, I was sleeping in my old apartment, and I woke up in the same room that I'd fallen asleep in. I could see everything around me, and I could hear someone open my door. I could hear their footsteps to my bedroom, and then all I saw was this black figure, very tall and very slim. And I have chills right now. Like, I hate talking about this, I'll explain that later, but so all I know is that I felt completely and utterly terrified. So he starts walking towards me, no facial features, nothing, just a black silhouette. Walking towards me, walking, you feel frightened for your life, and you can't move, you can't scream, like you can't do anything. And as soon as he got right beside me, I woke up. That happened multiple times after that, and it was just so frightening because it wasn't like a nightmare where it happens just like you come up with some place in your head, wherever I fell asleep is where this figure would come and walk towards me. I could fall asleep on the couch. He's going to come in through the front door, the side door, and walk towards me. I could fall asleep with the bedroom door closed, and I will hear this person open my door and walk in. And I can just, I wake up in the same room that I fell asleep in. So that's when I was kind of like, oh my God, what is going on? Because it wasn't like I was having a reoccurring nightmare. I was literally like, no matter where I fell asleep, I was waking up and I was seeing this figure. So I then realized that it was always happening when I fell asleep on my back. So I would be I would be hugging a pillow to make sure that I would fall asleep on my side, because if I fell asleep on my back, I knew it was going to happen. A few times after it happening, the most terrifying experience I had of sleep paralysis is that this figure actually got on top of me. So went through the whole process. I was absolutely terrified. At the time, I had fallen asleep and I was at my now husband's house, and the figure this person had come down the stairs. He came in the bedroom. He came right up beside me, and then he was actually on top of me, pinning me down. This only happened once, and this actually was like the same scenario of what happened from that last traumatic experience in the previous abusive relationship. So I am lying there absolutely terrified for my life, and I am just like so confused as to why like Matthew was not waking me up. Why was he not helping me? Because in my head I'm thinking I must be making some kind of noise because of how terrified I am. But eventually you wake up and I look beside me and he's sound asleep. So clearly I was literally just like still. So that was just like that experience stuck with me. It's like you're frightened for days after that. Having sleep paralysis just on its own is traumatizing. To this day, I don't think I've had sleep paralysis for over a year now. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe I'm just managing better, or I have healed from that experience to be at a better state now. I used to be so afraid of talking about sleep paralysis, because I also found that a couple years ago when I talked about it, it would happen that night. So if I thought about it, if I talked about it, if I shared my experience about it, if I read about it, I would end up having sleep paralysis that night. And that was just like, I couldn't believe it. So anytime that I would like talk about it or someone would bring it up, I would be so anxious and not be able to fall asleep because I was like, oh my God, it's gonna happen again. So like it was absolutely terrible. So there's all these like conspiracy theories, of course, of what sleep paralysis is. I mean, some people think they're being abducted by aliens. Some people think it's a paranormal presence. Honestly, I don't know what I think. I am just like, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it is fascinating that everyone who experiences sleep paralysis has either very, very close similarities of what happens to them, and almost always there will be a black figure when this happens. As my sleep paralysis continued to go on, I actually could know, like I knew when I was falling into sleep paralysis, because it's like you're falling asleep and you can feel it happening. It's like, it is the weirdest feeling to explain, but it's like, it's in your head and you're like, you're falling asleep, and you're aware that you're going into this state of sleep paralysis. And that I did not like being aware of either, because I couldn't get out of it. So once I fell into that sleep paralysis, I mean, you kind of have to let it run its course. So eventually I figured out that it was harmless, and it was kind of just like having a night terror. So I would be completely off for the next day. But then, of course, I mean, I'd get back to my old self, and I love to research, so I would just like research and research, and it became like fascinating to me rather than being afraid of it. When sleep paralysis happens, I don't think I have ever felt so terrified in my life. If you have experienced sleep paralysis before, then you will know exactly the feeling I am talking about. Because through this entire video, I keep getting chills. Because you don't forget that feeling. I feel like I feel like it would be the same feeling if someone were to break in my house and try and murder me and I was like about to die. It feels that way. It really does. And is terrible. So I'm just trying to find out what the Netflix documentary was called, because just sitting there watching it, I was just like, everything they said, I was like, yep, like it's all the same, and there's similarities throughout each person that the documentary is about, and it's just like, it's so, I don't know. Okay, so the documentary on Netflix is called The Nightmare, and if you're interested in sleep paralysis as well, I would watch this, because it's interesting to hear other people's experiences and what they think sleep paralysis is from, and things like that. So if you guys want to connect and chat, or if anyone has any sleep paralysis stories or theories that they want to share down at the comments or message me, feel free to do so. I love, it sounds so bad that I love hearing your terrifying experiences, but like, you know what I mean? I want to hear what you have gone through too, and what you think what your thoughts are on it as well, because it's just such an interesting topic, and it's something that has not been like completely studied, because I guess it's hard to do so. Like, you can study sleep, but I guess you can't study the psychological effect that it has, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm trying to sound all sciencey, and I'm not. So I'm just going to stick with watching documentaries and Googling. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.